period where we might consider to where what we might consider to be the rebirth of Western mathematics occurs. Part of that occurs as a result of Islamic civilization taking hold of what the Greeks have done in geometry, preserving and extending it in many significant ways. One of the particularly important bits of extension here is a 10th century Persian by the name of Abu Wafa, who wrote something that is called On the Parts of Geometry Necessary for Artisans. To some extent, Abu Wafa's work is the Islamic parallel to Durer's work. And as we'll see, there's a lot of other interconnections there that look very interesting. One of the other things that we see in Islamic art is there's this prevalence of geometric design. And there have been a number of reasons suggested for why geometric designs are prevalent in Islamic art. The most likely explanation seems to be that they liked it. It seemed to be something that was interesting. They were appreciative of geometric designs. There are other explanations that are based on the Sharia and Islamic law, and these are possible causes, but it's not entirely clear how important they were. The other significant thing leading up into the Renaissance is that until 1492, portions of Spain were ruled by various Islamic emirs, and you have a number of independent kingdoms in Spain that are ruled by Islamic emirs. And here we have the ability of scholars to access some of these works in translation, and a number of the mathematicians responsible for at the beginning of 12th and 13th century European mathematics have a record of having visited Spain, having studied at some of these places. So there does seem to be a very strong Spanish connection there as well. And finally, probably the most significant event in the High Middle Ages is Campanas of Navarra, around 1300, writes a new edition of the Elements and extends this notion of geometry. Geometry is more than just length and areas, as Boethius, as Martianus Capella would have, but geometry is an important theoretical study. So we are now ready to start the Renaissance, and with to some extent, the revival of classical mathematics and the revival of classical art, we have what you might refer to as the mathematization of art. And this is most evident earliest in terms of cathedral building. For obvious reasons, if you're going to build a cathedral, you do have to understand something about mathematics. You have to understand how weights and how leverage works, because you cannot build a cathedral that stands for a very long period of time if you don't take into account how the static load in the building is distributed. And one of the first great, just to discuss a little bit more here, Jordanus Numerarius, 13th century France, is one of the first to write is one of the first in the medieval period to write about what we consider to be the science of statics. He writes a book called On Weights, and within a century and a half we get up to Filippo Brunelleschi, and I think I heard somebody talking about the Duomo. So this is one of the first great construction projects during the Renaissance, which is the construction of the Duomo in Florence. And among other things, Brunelleschi, he is an architect. He's an inventor. He has a patent on a sort of a ship with a self-loading crane. He is the architect of the Duomo, and to some extent, Brunelleschi understands the idea that good art is applied mathematics. And he goes a little bit further, and Brunelleschi is usually identified as being one of the first European artists to really understand the principles of perspective. Unfortunately, what he did with perspective is subject to some debate because his original paintings in perspective have apparently been lost. But most histories of Western perspective in Western art do seem to go back to Brunelleschi as one of the founding fathers.